What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's going on, Coach Dan at Lions Talk Live and the Duke Crew. This is Ball Hawk Ifeatu Melifonwu of the Detroit Lions. Everybody make sure you help support the YouTube channel Lions Talk Live by clicking that like and subscribe button. Let's get it and go Detroit.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live and Coach Dan by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
I love nothing more than watching Lions Talk Live every morning. Woo!
All right, well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining me here today, middle of the afternoon. You know, it's Thursday. The stock market's starting to wind down a little bit. We got about 40 minutes to go until the close, so I want to take a brief second. This isn't some sort of breaking news video. This isn't, hey, an update on this player's situation type video. As I saw the news, maybe around noon or 11 o'clock this morning about the Detroit Lions, Sports Illustrated talking about them, their picks to win the Super Bowl. I had a lot of time today to sit around and think about it. Back in the late 80s, I started covering this team. And then there were the 90s. The 90s, you had some real hope. The 2000s came. The Millen Man March came. Man, you had every different quarterback savior, every different wide receiver draft in the first round, everything in between. And then it started getting to me maybe about an hour ago, just how special this team might just actually end up being. I sat and I read through Connor Orr and I forget the other gentleman's name Connor Orr and Greg Bishop, their story, their take on the Lions. And I got a little choked up. I'm not going to lie, because I can remember going with my brother Tim, my dad, my now deceased brother Kevin, to the Pontiac Silverdome somewhere in the 70s to watch this team. And anybody who's probably watching this channel knows this. There have been a whole lot of down times with this team. A whole lot of times of, excuse me, let me clear my throat. Just putting up with, why am I even a fan of this team? And then something happened in 2021. Probably nobody saw it coming. You saw the end of the Quintricia era. You saw the hiring of some guy named MCDC, Dan Campbell, whatever you want to call him. And he's got this goofy presser that's almost so goofy it's good. He's talking about, hey, we're going to get knocked down. We're going to come back up. We're going to bite the kneecap, and then we're going to bite the next kneecap. We're going to do this and that. I mean, it's some sort of like 1940s, 1950s, rah, Green Bay Packers type speech. We're going to get up and we're going to run it here. We're going to run it there. We're going to run it all over. So then this afternoon, I started really looking at the Detroit Lions. I started looking at the rest of the NFL. And you know what? I started seeing a little bit more and more of what these two gentlemen, Bishop and Orr, started writing about. And you know what? I think they might be onto something. If you can look through the rest of the NFL and honestly, with a straight face, look right now and say there's a team that seems to be deeper, across the board, more offense and defensive weapons right now in the Detroit Lions, I'm just not seeing it. You could debate without question. There are 2 or 3 teams that have the potential to be better than the Detroit Lions. I'm 52 years old. I've seen a whole lot of bad. I've seen one quarterback throw 7 interceptions in a game and not get pulled. I've seen running backs inexplicably fumble with the game on the line to a chance to beat some huge team in some huge game at the goal line. Something happens that you just never seen before. And if you're a Lions fan, you've had to endure the ghost of Christmas Past, the ghost of Bobby Lane, the ghost of Wayne Fonts, the disassembly of Rodney Peete. You've seen them casting off the only quarterback that could ever win a playoff game before Jared Goff, Eric Kramer. You've just seen weird thing after weird thing. The catch in the end zone that's not a catch, by Kelvin Johnson. The guy who gets up for the Texans, who clearly was down by contact, and then gets up on Thanksgiving Day game, runs 60-some yards into the end zone for a score, even though everybody and their mother knows he was down. And I won't bore you to death, but you've seen the 90s. You've seen, inexplicably, one of the best offensive linemen. And yes, he was a Detroit Lion, Eric Andolsek, cutting his bushes in his front lawn, only to have a semi-truck driver fall asleep, go off-road, and hit this man and kill him. You've seen just a calamity of just odd, inexplicable things happen. And I got to imagine if you saw the end of the Jim Caldwell era, you were probably somewhat hoped up. And, man, this has got to be the time we get it right. When the Quinn Trisha era began, and it couldn't have gone any more stunningly into the ground from that very first game when they took over. The Lions played, I want to say it was a Sunday night, or maybe it was a Monday night football game against the New York Jets. They get an interception, pick six to start the game, and from there they get blown out by like 9,000 points. And it's just the Quinn Trisha era is on. So then here we are now. We've got Sports Illustrated actually picking us to win. Let that sink in. They're picking us to win the Super Bowl. And that's where, like, somewhere this afternoon, it just started getting to me. Could this be real? I don't know. This is more of an editorial, like I said at the start. This isn't really some sort of deep dive informational video. This is just me saying for the first time in my adult life, in my entire life, I think the Lions actually have a chance. I get there will be naysayers that will come out and say, man, I don't know about that secondary. I don't know about that defensive line. I don't know if Jameson Williams can do this and that, the other thing. Man, the Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers, they're looking tough. You know what? That's life. That's sports. Somebody's always getting better. Somebody's always coming for the champ, and somebody always pulls an upset. The article is great because it not just talks about the Detroit Lions, but it talks about the Renaissance of Michigan, the Detroit area. We all get it, man. If you've been in the state or at least a fan of the state for some time, Detroit was something once upon a time, fell by the wayside for decades, and now is starting to reemerge itself. I remember talking to players last year during that Super Bowl, during the playoff run, and how many of them were cognizant, even some of the coaches and the beat reporters for this team, talking about they were aware how big that first game against the Los Angeles Rams were, and how just revitalized the community was, how much it meant for the city, how much it meant for just people stopping, talking to some of these guys while they're getting gas or, out of McDonald's with friends and family or whatever it is. Just how much rays of hope it brought to the entire state of Michigan, to the governor's office, to the person just working whatever job at the movie theater or wherever else. The Detroit Lions are far more than just a sports franchise. It's not like covering the Detroit Pistons. It's not like covering the Red Wings or the Tigers. As great as those franchises are, let's also be honest, there's nothing in this state like the Detroit Lions. People will bleed unequivocally for this team. They will show loyalty to this franchise that makes no sense. It would be like dealing with your wife caught on her 29th time that she says she'll never do this again, or your husband, in some cases that will never do this again, and yet you're like, all right, we'll give them one more chance. We'll let them tear our heart out one more time. That's what this team is. That's what I think is absolutely just phenomenal about this. My anticipation is we've got less than 3 full weeks until the NFL season starts. And my guess is Sports Illustrated is just the first in a long line of people that are actually going to pick the Detroit Lions to win this thing. They're actually going to come out and say, you know what, Jared Goff, you might not have been good enough for LA, but you're damn good enough here. That, you know what, Kevin Zettler, we're going to get you that Super Bowl title. That, you know what, Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, Jalen Reeves-Maven, guys that have been here through the mud forever. You saw it. You could hear it in their voices how much last year's playoff run meant to them. Not just the fact that we're winning, but they were getting there, that we were within inches, literally inches. You could grab it with your fingernails, how close we were to the Super Bowl, how much this just entire fan base would have exploded. I tell you, man, if you get a free moment of time, go and check out the article. I think both writers do an absolute home run of a job, slam dunk writing this thing. And I think it's the curse of Bobby Lane, the curse of Wayne Fonts, the whatever jinx of Rodney Peete, whoever you want to name, you want to throw on that list. And it's a big list. It's gone. It's by the wayside. You want to give probably some credit to Jeff Daniels and Peyton Manning for removing the curse, or whoever is really responsible for it. It seems to be gone. It seems to be a thing of a past. Check out the article. I'll just say this, man. I hope everybody in the YouTube community for writers or reporters, whatever, guys that run their own channels, all the people in the media section, I hope they all enjoy this ride and don't be a Debbie naysayer about these guys. Yes, somebody's going to fall down. Yes, we're going to lose a game we shouldn't have. All that stuff. But I'd say this is a fan base. Roar for this team. Roar for each other. Push each other into the promised land. And you know what? enjoy this ride, because I don't know if we'll see this as the new beginning of a new renaissance for us being the dominant franchise that we were in the 50s or whatever. But I know this, I'm going to enjoy each and every one of these games this year, each and every one of these shows I get to put on celebrating this, because it's a whole lot better, let me tell you, reporting on guys that have a chance to win than trying to come up with some real cutting edge headline or story about an 0-16 team or a 5-12 team or whatever it is. Let me tell you, the toughest story I ever had to write as a reporter was when Brett Favre rolled out to the left and threw across his body and crossfield to Sterling Sharp, racing down the sideline to in 1993 to beat the Detroit Lions in that playoff game. You went into that locker room afterwards, and let me tell you, nobody wanted to talk to nobody. It was dead silent. The faces and the expressions from the coaches, from the other reporters, from everybody in between. I remember Mitch Albom being in there, and he was jaw dropped. That dude could talk to anybody about anything, and not in a bad way. He's a very personal person. And the fact that he was null at that point, just immune to being able to feel any emotions, you could have dropped a pin in there and everybody would have, been oblivious to it. You guys get my point. All right, I'll get out of here. Go enjoy the article. Check it out. Cheer each other on. We'll see you if there's some sort of breaking news today or whatever. We'll see you on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.